Welcome to the SCM Podcast, business advice and tips with expert guest interviews and with hostess Latrice Carter, every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Welcome to Sisters Creative Media Podcast. Today, I have a special guest. April Patterson is a problem solver guru with more than 15 years of experience as an executive assistant. Today, she will talk about the benefits of having a virtual assistant while you grow your business. How can she help you in this digital media world? That is the big question today. Digital media is a loud space where everyone is trying to be seen, heard, and of course, grow their brand. Welcome to the show, April. Hey, lady.
Hi, how are you, Latrice?
I am doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it. I'm looking forward to the conversation.
You are so welcome. So, the big question is, what type of role does a virtual assistant play with small business owners, authors, and what have you? And the first question, how does a virtual assistant help small businesses, in your opinion?
In my opinion, so being that you pretty much touched on that I have more than 15 years of experience as an executive assistant, basically the most simplest way to describe what a virtual assistant is basically an executive assistant working remotely. In this space, I have found that, especially during COVID, venturing off, with your business and trying to start up, if you are a small business owner, you absolutely, even in this time, would need to engage with a virtual assistant, because most of the time when you're starting up, a new business, you really just want to focus on the areas that's going to bring you clients, that's going to generate revenue. And oftentimes you really don't have time for the tactical things that can go into like your day-to-day, just operational and small tasks. So for me, I would say the benefit of having a virtual assistant is to just basically make your life easier by turning over the tactical items so that your assistant can handle all of the emails and maybe phone calls and client relationships and so forth.
Okay, sounds good. Now, there are a lot of authors out, and many of them are full-time authors.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say they could benefit from a virtual assistant?
I would say absolutely anyone can benefit from a virtual assistant, but specifically authors. I think that oftentimes when you are, and I'm actually, I know various authors now who are in the process of writing new materials. And so a virtual assistant can help in the capacity of perhaps working with your copywriters or working with your editor, with communicating the things, perhaps your project flow, and maybe it's working with your photographer for the marketing piece, or perhaps it's helping you with scheduling book signing events and things of that nature. A virtual assistant, especially now, I think oftentimes people think of, everything that a virtual assistant is doing is not just the IT aspect of it. I think when people hear virtual, they automatically think about, is she just more in tune with like the technical side of it? Absolutely not. A virtual assistant can help authors in a way where if you have a book signing and you need someone to maybe assist with the logistics of that, perhaps reaching out to publishing companies and finding, the publishers that would best be suited for your project, to even oftentimes helping with, maybe it's your wardrobe, like how do you want to present yourself?
Mm-hmm.
virtual assistants can be used in a capacity that I think most people don't really know. And it's just basically finding the right virtual assistant that can actually help you leverage your brand.
Okay. And I think, you hit it right on the nail. I think virtual assistants can also be beneficial when it comes to authors, helping them getting brand exposure, reaching out to the various magazines and
Exactly.
Bloggers and media influencers to get them to sponsor or, their book,
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
I think that virtual assistants can be very helpful there for authors.
Exactly. I think that oftentimes, especially if you have a virtual assistant that has scaled back their business, perhaps their niche is within the illustration, industry. I think that if you can find a virtual assistant that is their specialty, that's absolutely something where they can be beneficial, because then they can help you in terms of like keeping on schedule. They can set up maybe a project flow that they could probably play a role as like a small project manager within your space and developing your brand and so forth. So from start to finish, literally, basically, I always say that like I'm the gatekeeper. I'm the person that helps my clients to kind of keep on task, to stay focused, to kind of most of the time creative individuals are more so, I look at it like, okay, so they're the kite. Often they're kind of like just really creative and flying around and just kind of thinking off the cuff, whereas and creatives oftentimes have a hard time focusing on just one thing because their minds kind of work differently. And so with the virtual assistant being there to help you be grounded, to help you maybe be a little more focused and structured, keeping the timelines that you've set for yourself, keeping relationships intact, and also just maybe finding other creative ways that perhaps you haven't thought about in how to leverage your brand and how to actually get the word out there about your book. So it's really more so of like a partnership that you can develop with the virtual assistant. I think that if you are a rock star EA, you can absolutely transition that and transfer that energy over to being a virtual assistant, especially during the time of COVID.
Absolutely. So tell us, what are the benefits of utilizing a virtual assistant?
So I would say, out the gate, it's the benefit of having a virtual assistant, and you automatically save on cost. And what I mean in terms of overhead. So typically you would have an executive assistant, they work 8 hours a day. You would then need to pay, medical benefits, office space, all of the things that it would require to actually hire someone on as a full-time executive assistant. You actually save in hiring a virtual assistant because you don't need to pay like the medical benefits and all of the taxes and things of that nature that would come along with hiring a full-time employee. Oftentimes I feel as though major corporations and even small business owners, they feel that they need a full-time assistant, but really and truly in the grand scheme of things, in a full day, an assistant really isn't banging out the work in an 8-hour day. Typically a 4 to 6 hour day is really all the type, the amount of work that assistant is probably actually doing nonstop. So in terms of saving on cost, I think whenever I have spoken to potential clients that they have been considering utilizing my services, that's really the first go-to in terms of the very first point that I want to point out to them, is that signing on with me, you're automatically going to save thousands of dollars, because you don't have the taxes or the medical overhead that you would typically
have. Okay. So you have your own virtual assistant business called AEP.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that services and how long you've been in business.
So I have been actually operating in as ADP virtual assistant since April. I launched my business. It was due to COVID. I was released from my employer, and with all of the experience that I have in providing a high level of support to C-suite executives, I figured, why not just go ahead and launch that now? And I've have the experience working in business management and financial planning and marketing and advertising. So I figured, you know what, I've spent all of these years developing others and helping them establish and develop their brands. Why not just take that knowledge that I've gained over the years and pour that into myself? And so ADP was birthed, and I basically launched that business, or my business, in April, and so far so good. I've had great feedback from various individuals, the networking and the exposure that I've received in such a short amount of time. It's only been 4 months, and I've already signed on 3 clients. And what I am learning is that when I think transparency is really key. So whenever I'm speaking to a potential client, explaining to them, although I may be a new firm, I'm not new to the game of supporting. So,
Absolutely.
And so for me, considering at this point, I'm on the other end of it, right? So I myself, I'm a CEO. So for me, it's like I understand providing that red carpet service and giving them a zero defect type of service is really key for me. And I pride myself on that because I get it. When you're a CEO, I am my brand at this point. So I know that selling a product that is providing a high level of service to my client is something that I absolutely must do so that I can, everything at this point is by word of mouth. So I want the good review.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So what makes you stand out from your competitors?
I really think that it's the mindset that I have. I absolutely enjoy providing and just serving others. I'm not doing it for the money. Mm-hmm. I am actually doing it because I enjoy serving others. And I think that's just, I have a heart to serve. So, and anytime that I can pour into others and help them become their best self, and by doing that, I alleviate a lot of the tactical stress and minimize the pain points that often comes along with running a business. So, and I think I set myself apart because I am a CEO. So I feel as though living in the space of and understanding what it means to run a business, I have the compassion that you would need to understand someone else's position in that. So I understand what it means to you have a budget. So I know I operate from that space. If I can save my clients money, then I absolutely try to do that for them. And instead of having a cookie cutter type of platform, I tend to speak to my clients to see exactly what they need, and then I try to tailor their services towards what they need versus providing them with a package that may not be useful for them. So I think what sets me apart is that I approach onboarding from a more holistic approach, and then there's a partnership there as well. I don't appear to be as though I am their employee. I'm their partner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice. Very nice. So give us an overview of the 3-tier packages that you offer to potential customers.
Okay. So the tier 1 package is for the generalist, and that would be your typical executive assistant support in terms of providing email management, travel management, expense reporting, calendar management, and perhaps some, maybe industry research on a small level, on a smaller scale. Not in terms, and when I mention internet research, it's just, if a client is in the process of maybe venturing off into a particular market that they may not be familiar with, or maybe they need to hire a vendor for a particular job, then that is where the internet research piece would come in. So that is the generalist package. And then there's the tier 2 package, which is for the influencer. So that would be for perhaps your platform is social media and you need to maybe continue to connect with your followers, or perhaps you're in the sales industry and you need email automation. And so you want to continue to remain relevant within your industry. So in that regard, you would utilize me to help assist with your client relationship, database management, connecting with the client behind the scenes. I have a couple of clients that they utilize me to send a lot of follow-up emails. And perhaps you are a podcaster and you need a voiceover. I've been told, April, you have a fantastic voice for radio. So I'm like, well, let me market that. So if you need a professional voiceover, that would be in the influencer package. And then there's the executive package, which is tier 3. That would be for if you have an event that, whether it's online or in person, obviously respecting the social distancing policies, and you need someone to plan a really elegant, or maybe not so elegant, it's something, maybe a more casual event. That's something that I actually enjoy doing. So I've offered that in the executive package. And then I guess I could speak to the executive package as being like your ad hoc type of projects. So whether it's like project management or event planning, or perhaps you have a board meeting coming up and you need the board documents to be put together. Perhaps you have an employee that you need to staff for your organization. I can absolutely assist with, oftentimes due to the type of networking that I've been privileged of having, is that coming in contact with various different individuals in different industries, I can help with the scouting process and also the pre-screening process for whatever positions an individual may be looking to fill. So that's kind of your catch-all package. And I think that is the package where you kind of create what your world would look like in terms of utilizing a virtual assistant.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that kind of brings us right into our next question. Do you offer custom packages that are unique to authors, speakers, or entrepreneurs, or brand new startup companies?
Right. I do. I absolutely do. And what that looks like is, if you are, let's say you just really are starting out, and I guess if I were to think of myself, right? So I'm kind of a new business owner, and I'm like, okay, you really don't know how to structure your business or how to, and you just kind of want someone to maybe help you perhaps understand what some of your blind spots are in terms of operations and things of that nature. I can absolutely come in and help you, and we can work together. It's a brainstorming session. I come in, and when I say come in, I basically mean come into your organization virtually, obviously. And if you have key individuals currently that you work with within your organization, we then sit together, we have a brainstorming session, we figure out the different blind spots that perhaps you may have currently, and then we come together and we figure out a plan to maybe put operations and processes in place that would allow your organization to kind of be to run like it's a well-oiled machine. I currently have a client who I'm working with, and he has 3 different brands, and his goal was to kind of bring me in to assist with, the trademarking. Like, he just really he was kind of scatterbrained with trying to figure out, how do I tackle all of this? I have 3 different brands and I have 3 different, they all operate differently. Well, oftentimes when you have a third eye and they're able to come in an executive assistant or a virtual assistant should be able to ascertain, like, okay, you have these pieces of your corporation, and hit the bullet points that can bring your organization up to par and to run more efficiently. And so that's really more so just sitting down together, working together as a team. So you can absolutely have a package that is more tailored towards what you need and more customized towards your industry.
Okay, that is good to know. That is definitely good to know.
Yeah.
So how can folks contact you?
So you can obviously look me up on LinkedIn at April Patterson. I'm on LinkedIn, but you can also visit my website at www.80, and that's the number 80, P as in Peter, V as in Victor, A.com. So 80P is, and I'll just, a quick story is, so my name is April Devon Patterson, and so my initials are A as in Apple, D as in David, P as in Peter, but obviously that's the big, the beast in the payroll industry, and I could not use that. It would have been nice, but my daughter one day was like, well, Mom, why don't you just use 80P? And I said, well, I just told you why I can't use that. And she said, no, just use the number 80, the letter P like Peter, and then you have 80P. And I thought, oh my goodness. So yes, www.adpva.com. And the VA is for obviously virtual assistant.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they connect with you on social media.
So I do not have, and I do not have a Facebook or an Instagram. I will be honest, I just would have to hire somebody to do that for me, because I'm really not, I don't have the capacity, the bandwidth to really manage that right now. So yeah, so LinkedIn and my website is how people can reach me, but you can also email me for information at April D like David Patterson at outlook.com. Again, that's April D like David Patterson at outlook.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you guys have it. Make sure you visit her website, check out her services. I really enjoyed this conversation with you today. I do foresee, I can see you working with more authors, because, a lot of times they need help getting exposure. So,
Absolutely.
you have to do the grunt work of calling various magazines and
absolutely
newspapers, trying to get them on local radio, TV, because, the one thing is, you have to grow locally before you can grow grow locally before you can grow nationally. So
absolutely
get recognized, get that recognition. So.
Absolutely. And I think, and mainly, I think what you asked me, what does set me apart from other virtual assistants as well, is my circle of influence. I will tell you, my Rolodex is extensive. Like, I definitely do have the connections that could definitely, that others could benefit from. And I do. When I onboard a client, any resource that I have access to is also made available to my clients. And so so my previous employer is Bain and Company. So Bain and Company is a global business management firm. And so I have, oh my goodness, just the 6 years that when I was employed with them, I've met so many amazing people in the radio industry, in the non-for-profit industry, just like industry wide, because it's a global firm. So if you definitely want an executive assistant or a virtual assistant that has access to the Rolodex is extensive, because then that means that you're just going to do well. Like, any and everybody that you need to meet, that person probably already has access to them. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for that interview. Hold right on. We'll take a small break.
Okay.
Many times, entrepreneurs, authors, speakers, and small business owners try to do it all when it comes to running their business. But sometimes they fall short. This is where a virtual assistant can help their business. On today's show, I sat down with April Patterson to learn more about how, why, and what the benefits of hiring a virtual assistant for an author, speaker, entrepreneur, and even a small business. How she can help you scale your business so that you can focus on what's key to grow your business. In a world like today, especially since COVID, it has been imperative for small business owners to restructure and go back and examine how they can compete in a digital world like today, where it's so loud. Everyone is trying to be seen, heard, and of course, grow their business. So I hope you enjoyed today's show. Sit back and leave us your comments. Let us know what you thought of today's show. Make sure you tune in next week when I sit down with Tyora Moody. She is from Thai Women's Designs. Next week's show is going to be geared more toward for the authors. She's going to discuss the benefits of a media kit, the benefits of having a professional book cover design, and many other aspects that will be beneficial for authors. I strongly suggest that you guys catch next week's show on Tuesday, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. I look forward to the show next week, bringing you more interviews and more business advice and tips so that you can grow your business. I am Latrice Carter. Have a great day.
Thanks for listening to the show today. Be sure to tune in each week to hear interviews from business experts in the industry. Follow SCM on your favorite streaming channel, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or Google. Don't forget to follow Sistas Creative Media on all social media platforms to learn more about us.